Imagine standing before a palace so beautiful that travelers crossed deserts, sailed dangerous seas, and spent months on the road just to catch a glimpse of it. A palace so breathtaking that poets struggled to describe it and kings dreamed of owning it. But what if I told you that this magnificent wonder wasn't built to display power alone? Hidden behind its dazzling walls was a story of ambition, love, and a desperate race against time. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join us on more journeys into history's greatest mysteries and wonders. Now, let's step back in time. The year was 1632. The mighty Mughal Empire stretched across much of the Indian subcontinent. Its cities sparkled with wealth, its armies were feared, and its rulers commanded immense power. At the center of this empire sat Emperor Shah Jahan, a man known for his love of art, architecture, and beauty. Yet despite all his power, Shah Jahan was heartbroken. His beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal, had passed away during childbirth. Historical accounts describe the emperor as devastated. For days, he remained isolated from the world. The grief was so deep that many believed he would never recover. Then an extraordinary idea emerged. Instead of allowing time to erase her memory, Shah Jahan decided to create something the world would never forget. He wanted a monument so beautiful that centuries later people would still speak her name. And so, the greatest architectural project of the age began. Thousands of workers, craftsmen, artists, engineers, and laborers gathered from across Asia and beyond. Some came from Persia. Others arrived from Central Asia and the Ottoman lands. Master stone carvers, calligraphers, and architects united for a single purpose: to build perfection. The chosen site stood beside the Yamuna River. Day after day, foundations were laid. Massive stones were transported over enormous distances. Precious materials arrived from distant regions. White marble became the heart of the project. Unlike ordinary stone, this marble seemed almost alive. During sunrise, it glowed with a soft pink hue. At noon, it appeared brilliantly white. Under moonlight, it shimmered like silver. But beauty alone wasn't enough. The designers obsessed over symmetry. Every arch, every corridor, every garden pathway was carefully measured. If one side of the structure changed, the other side had to mirror it perfectly. Visitors would later describe the palace as a dream carved from stone. Years passed. The construction site transformed into a city of workers. Families lived nearby. Merchants supplied food and tools. The project consumed enormous resources, but Shah Jahan refused to compromise. He wanted the impossible. As the palace rose higher, stories about it spread across continents. Traders carried tales to distant kingdoms. Explorers spoke of a masterpiece unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Many doubted the stories. How could one building be so magnificent? Yet the reality exceeded imagination. The main dome soared into the sky like a celestial crown. Delicate carvings decorated the walls. Precious gemstones were embedded into marble, forming flowers that would never fade. Red jasper, turquoise, lapis lazuli, jade, carnelian. Each stone was placed by hand. Some craftsmen spent months completing a single section. Others dedicated years to perfecting intricate patterns invisible from a distance but astonishing up close. The palace was becoming more than a building. It was becoming a legend. One evening, an elderly craftsman stood back and gazed at the nearly completed structure. He had spent over a decade working on its decorations. A young apprentice asked him a question. "Do you think people will remember this palace?" The old man smiled. "They will remember it long after we're gone." Neither of them realized just how true those words would become. As construction neared completion, visitors arriving from distant lands stood speechless. Some believed the palace looked like it belonged in heaven rather than on earth. Reflections danced across pools of water. Gardens stretched in perfect harmony. The towering dome dominated the horizon. Every detail worked together to create an illusion of perfection. Yet behind this beauty lay a hidden cost. Thousands had devoted years of their lives to the project. Vast fortunes had been spent. The emperor's dream demanded sacrifices few people could imagine. And while the palace appeared eternal, danger was quietly approaching. Political tensions were growing within the empire. Powerful princes competed for influence. Rivalries intensified. The magnificent palace was nearing completion just as a storm was gathering around the throne. No one knew that the emperor who built this wonder would soon face one of the greatest tragedies of his life. And when that tragedy arrived, the palace would become far more than a symbol of love. It would become a symbol of loss. But that is where our story takes an unexpected turn. Because the most beautiful palace ever built was about to witness the fall of the very man who created it. And that story begins in Chapter 2. The palace stood complete. Its white marble gleamed beneath the sun. Travelers arrived from every direction to admire its beauty. Poets praised it. Merchants spoke of it. Foreign visitors carried stories of its magnificence back to their homelands. Shah Jahan had achieved his dream. The world now possessed a masterpiece unlike any other. But while the palace appeared timeless, the empire around it was changing. The emperor was growing older. His sons were becoming increasingly ambitious. Among them was Aurangzeb, a skilled leader with enormous determination. He understood that control of the empire meant control of one of the wealthiest realms on earth. As Shah Jahan's health declined, a fierce struggle for succession erupted. Brothers turned against brothers. Alliances shifted. Battles were fought. The empire entered a dangerous period of uncertainty. Shah Jahan watched helplessly as the family he had built began tearing itself apart. Eventually, Aurangzeb emerged victorious. The aging emperor was removed from power. The ruler who had commanded immense armies and built the world's most beautiful palace suddenly found himself a prisoner. Imagine that moment. Years earlier, he had directed thousands of workers. Now he could no longer direct his own future. He was confined within a fort. His empire belonged to someone else. His authority had vanished. Most heartbreaking of all, he could no longer freely visit the palace he had built in memory of Mumtaz Mahal. According to popular accounts, Shah Jahan spent his final years gazing toward the distant monument from a window. Day after day. Month after month. Year after year. The palace remained visible across the landscape. Close enough to see. Too far to touch. Think about the irony. The greatest achievement of his life stood before him. Yet he could only admire it from afar. Visitors continued arriving. They marveled at the architecture. They photographed it in their minds long before cameras existed. They walked through its gardens and stood beneath its dome. Many never realized that the man responsible for this wonder spent his final years separated from it. When Shah Jahan eventually passed away, he was laid to rest beside Mumtaz Mahal within the palace. Together again. The emperor and the queen. Their story became inseparable from the monument itself. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell. Wars reshaped nations. Rulers disappeared into history. Yet the palace endured. Storms struck. Political upheavals came and went. Generations changed. Still the white marble stood. Its beauty survived the passage of time. Today, millions visit every year. Some come for the architecture. Others come for the history. Many arrive because they have heard it described as the most beautiful building ever created. And when they finally see it with their own eyes, they understand why. At sunrise, it glows softly. At sunset, it radiates warmth. Under moonlight, it appears almost magical. Photographs capture only a fraction of its presence. Standing before it feels different. There is a sense of scale. A feeling of harmony. An awareness that countless hands work together to create something extraordinary. But perhaps the palace's greatest achievement isn't its marble, its symmetry, or even its beauty. Perhaps its greatest achievement is the story it tells. A story about love powerful enough to inspire a masterpiece. A story about ambition capable of moving mountains. A story about an emperor who gained everything and then lost almost everything. Yet despite those losses, his dream survived. Long after kingdoms vanished. Long after armies disappeared. Long after political victories became forgotten. The palace remained. And that is why so many people continue asking the same question. Was this the most beautiful palace ever built? Maybe beauty isn't measured only by architecture. Maybe beauty comes from the emotions embedded within stone. The hopes of its builders. The dedication of its craftsmen. The love that inspired its creation. The memories it preserves. Whatever the answer may be, one thing is certain. Few places on earth have captured humanity's imagination as completely as this magnificent wonder. And centuries from now, travelers will likely continue standing before its shining marble walls, asking the very same question. Could anything ever surpass this? If you enjoyed this journey through one of history's greatest architectural masterpieces, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications. More incredible stories, forgotten mysteries, and legendary wonders are waiting in our next adventure.